Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Cancer. So, Cancer, as usual, I'm doing this reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you see are from this deck. So, Cancer, let's talk about an old friend that I feel like you have crossed paths many, many times before, and here they are again. And don't get me wrong, I'm calling it a friend, but I feel like it's more like a pattern, a situation of letting go. It feels like you're being confronted, and maybe I shouldn't use that word because it doesn't feel like a confrontation. It feels like a very gentle, maybe even expected approach of, let me show you already, death, right? So when this card came through, my instant thought was, here it is again, right? I feel like Cancer, you don't see death as something fearful or something scary or something to be afraid of anymore or even intimidated by that. I don't feel at all. It's almost like, oh, there you are, dear old friend. It's like, here we go again, right? I'm ready for this. It's like, let's embark on this ride yet again, once again. So I feel like there is this opening because, usually I see this as an open door, right? It's slightly open. And it's almost like you're being shown this death door, which is a portal to transformation, as something that gives you the way, gives you the direction, gives you the sense of, yeah, this is where I need to go, right? Because I feel like either you have been already approached by opportunities like this, and maybe back then you didn't feel like they were opportunities, but right now, this is how you feel. It's like you're wiser in terms of how this affects you emotionally. So now you understand it better whenever it approaches you, as it feels like it's approaching now, right? Because with the Six of Pentacles, it's the renegotiation of the contract, right? How are you going to deal with this death and rebirth? How are you going to deal with this transformation? And I feel like it really it wants to touch your relationships, right? Because of the Six of Pentacles. But the thing about the Six of Pentacles here is talking about what is valuable, because it seems, Cancer, that you are being shown by death, by this old friend of yours, an opportunity to remove something from this list. Maybe you're rethinking what you have agreed to, or maybe you're rethinking in general, right? Overall, how are you going to relate to one another? How are you going to be in relationships, right? Of every kind of, it's just talking about like human relations. This is what the Six of Pentacles is talking about. And the Five of Swords, it's almost like it's being pointed at by the death door, by this old friend of yours, by this it's like this situation that you can recognize there's something about it, right? This letting go of something, a pattern, right? It's like maybe a behavior in relationships, choices, right? Maybe unconscious choices that not only you're fully conscious and fully aware, it's like you're consciously choosing to remove some of these terms, some of these previous agreements, right? Because it's like you see everything for what it is. This is like the clarity that comes from the Six of Pentacles. It's like it's everything uh, laid for you. It's like in front of your eyes. There's nothing. That's the reason why the death is not scary at all, because there's nothing really hidden. Even though the death, in most cases talks about like crossing this threshold into the unknown, because it's an old friend, Cancer, because it's a situation that you recognize the pattern, there is no fear of the unknown. In fact, there is almost like this returning of something that you have been, it's almost like you have been joining the pieces, right? It's like you have been slowly traveling down a path, maybe of death and rebirth, of constant transformation, right? But a very steady path, because the Six of Pentacles also talks about the train being on track. But with the Five of Swords, it's almost like now you get to choose something else to get rid of, right? And you know that there is no reason to be scared about this choice, because what you're going to be left with is the Nine of Pentacles, which is everything that already makes you rich, already makes you feel independent and sovereign, and owning your own life, owning your own choices. But for some reason, it's like there is this need, and maybe this is the reason why this death is approaching you. There is this need to take this opportunity to let go of something that was still in the mix, or very it was imbued still in contracts, right? Relationships and ways to behave around others, that at least one of these things or one of these patterns, it's like they need to go, right? Because what you're going to be left with is this sense of independence, of it's almost like, even though it feels like you're going to lose something because you're removing, right? You're taking something out of your life. See how you go from the six to the nine, right? And I know that the Six of Pentacles is pointing to relationships, whereas typically the Nine of Pentacles talks about singlehood, right? Being single. But here it doesn't want to talk about single as in not in a relationship. It's talking about being singled out in terms of knowing, like being completely aware of the thing that you're removing, because it's almost like it impacts, right? It's almost like down the line, if you don't do this right now, or if you don't take this opportunity to remove this consciously, it's like it's going to impact your sovereignty, is going to impact maybe your livelihood, maybe your money, your finances. For sure it's going to impact your sense of independence. So whatever it is that you're being invited by this death, right, this old friend of yours, which seems to be almost like this phase of cleansing, of deep profound transformation, and letting go of something that is going to make you feel rich, even though it is giving away or taking something from your life, or removing a pattern, or even a person, right? Even though I'm not seeing it necessarily as a person, it's more like in the mind, right? It's like remove this thought from your mind, remove this agreement, or this uh it's like this preconception, this maybe this ideal is what I just heard, right? It's like, think about yourself as, it's almost like this work in progress is what I'm hearing right now. So the work in progress, it requires from time to time, and maybe that's the reason why this is an old friend, to remove stuff from the past that, maybe back then it was okay, it made sense to agree to, but in order for this train to keep on track, it's like there are adjustments to do, right? It's like this is the maintenance pause, which it's not necessarily pause, even though underneath the Five of Swords is the Four of Swords. So I do feel like there is a moment where it's like you're going to feel the need to just let go, or cleanse, or go through your mental concepts, or your mental agreements, or your mental patterns, and how they have influenced both your relationships and relationship to self as well, right? So after the Nine of Pentacles, we have another nine, which is the Nine of Swords. So it's interesting because, with this alignment of the Nine of Swords coming after the Nine of Pentacles, one could think that, is a loss, right? But because this is the interesting thing about this death coming through as an old friend, I do feel like you have become, it's like friendly, maybe it's not the best word, but it's like acquainted, or it's like at least you know that there's nothing to be intimidated by this death, right? So the appearance of a situation like this huge transformation that this death is bringing to you, it's like it's recognizable. It's like you can pinpoint to other times in your life where, yes, it might have felt, back then as a loss, a huge loss. But the thing about the Nine of Swords is that whatever you're conscious of letting go, right, it's like this very gentle, but very appropriate and a very aware letting go, right? It's a choice of letting go. It's like it's a removal that is very conscious in your mind. It feels like it goes to a list, right, of things or stuff that you had removed from your consciousness, from your awareness, from your mental space, from, all of the things that you had to face, right, in order to maintain or to pursue this sovereignty, in order to work and keep on working on finding and building this steady progress, right, which is your independence. So I feel like what you're left with, it's almost like it comes to a point, Cancer, where right now, that's the reason why the death is not scary again. It's like when you balance these two energies, it's like you realize that what you already have, right, as some sort of gain, some sort of reward for keeping on doing this conscious removal of a pattern or a behavior or an expectation or whatever. It's like it's now equal, right, or it's now balanced, it's now in the same level, right? It's like you had to let go of so many things, I want to say. And the difference, and maybe that's the reason why also you do this now in a conscious way, maybe in a different way than before, right? Maybe before, removing something from your life felt like not just a huge loss, but almost like distancing yourself from becoming sovereign, from becoming independent. But because now all the work that you have been doing, right? Like every single time that a death card approached you and opened this opportunity for you, it's almost like you're changing this pattern that was very shallow, right? This is just talking about like something that is hollow, that is very shallow, that is void of true value, right? Maybe illusions or expectations or just like fantasies and, you know, things that are not tangible, maybe things that are not real. And I know that the swords, they do symbolize truth, but in this reading in particular, just because of the meaning of the Five of Swords, which is the conscious removal of something, going to a list, right? So adding up to a pile of other stuff that you have consciously or maybe unconsciously removed in the past. But, if you compare and contrast the two, you know that now everything that you are letting go, it's actually just or was just like hollow and not fueled or not made of these true values, right, which is you. It's like it's your self-worth. So you know it's like that everything, no matter how scary or how fearful, these past encounters with death, it's like you are not intimidated by that at all. In fact, it's like you're able to place the things that you are letting go and the things that are still here with you, that are almost like the essence, right? The purest part of you, right? The purest values that now you live your life upon. It's like if you put them two side by side, it's like you can see for sure that letting go of all of this was just so worth it. And so you contemplate with the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords feels like the contemplation of the void, right? Because the Five of Swords is talking about this letting go, this conscious letting go. It's almost like I'm seeing you kind of like crossing something from the list, right? Or removing something. It's like from the terms of this contract, from everything that you have agreed at some point in your life, right, consciously or unconsciously, that have been shaping your relationships, including to yourself. It's like there's one, that each time you chose. So now it comes to a point where it's like you choose this one thing because you know that this is now the time to remove this pattern, this way of thinking, this way of seeing the world or the relationships in your life, and you contemplate the space that it leaves behind, right? Because here you see how there's this one sword in the middle. It's almost like this one sword is the one that is here, adding to the others that were taken before, that were removed before, right? It's almost like each sword was taken at, at every junction in time that you met this death. So now there is like this pile of removed patterns that you know now, by contrast, how different they are from the things that now you base your life upon, right? So you contemplate the emptiness, you contemplate the void, and that just fills you with so much love. It's like that's the reason why in removing, there's really no sense of loss. There's only this sense of fulfillment because of the Queen of Cups, which is your nature, which is your element. So the more you remove the things that were almost like splinters in your mind, right? Creating this sense of like this hollow mind or this shallow thinking, it's like because you're removing that and you're contemplating the space that was left behind, it's like that now it's almost like I'm seeing the Four of Swords as like the contemplation of, an empty cup, right? But one that that you have all of the water, all of the emotions, all of the dreams, right? To fill up this cup. So it's not empty. You see what I mean? It's like it's filled with projects and ideas and things for you to build, because it's like that you are this work in progress. So the more you are in tune with your own frequency, with your own nature, with your own emotions and intuition, it feels like you have the thing that is going to then, when there is available space, which is exactly what you're doing, right? The arrival of the death is giving you the opportunity to open space within your mental landscape so that you can fill that up with love, with inspiration, with your sense of guidance, right? It's like this personal sense of guidance. So you fill up your own cup, which is amazing, right? But before you do so, it's like you there's no sense of ego, I want to say. There's just a sense of like this it's like this very gentle, it is a contemplation. I was going to say like you're proud of yourself for doing this, but it's not that pride that is it's not ego driven or ego based, right? It's so heart centered, it's so heartfelt, so heart focused, that that because you're being fully you, it's like there is no other way to fill this. There is no other substance, there is no other essence that could better fill that empty room, that empty cup that now it's like it's almost like it's going to give you more space, give you more room to express your heart. So it's like this moment of contemplation of everything that you're about to build, which it's like it's a journey, right? It's a journey of self empowerment, a journey of independence, a journey of and toward sovereignty, but always being filled by your heart, by your power, by your serene, very gentle waters. So you're just contemplating it. And it feels almost like this timeless time, when it feels like time stops, and maybe that's the process, right? Maybe it's like you have come to the encounter of this death so many times before, and maybe before, everything that you would pour into this empty cup were tears of sadness or loss or grief or whatever, right? But it was hollow. But now you are at a point in time, it's almost like you know the value of each tear, because you know now that everything that is going to be poured into this empty cup, this available cup, it's like it's your essence. It's like your pure heart. That gives me such peace. It's so, it's beautiful, Cancer. I can relate to that for sure. And I'm so thankful, because it's intense, right? Meeting with the death can be intense, but it feels like finally, it's like we have come to terms, right? So I truly hope that, it was useful for you as well. Um, I am going to pull more cards to see where this wants to go next. And also, I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find link down below. If not, see you next time. Bye.